I've had some people ask me about the progress of this project I'm doing to build a radio-controlled rudder and and maybe even a navigation system, um, or at least a direction hold system for stand-up boards for downwinding. But when Robert Stellick asked me about joysticks, I kind of poo-pooed the idea, but after having played with buttons for a while, I've come full circle, and I'm going to do something that's joystick-like. These are some of the candidates. This is probably the best candidate right now. This is a flexible pad made for all kinds of applications, but it's waterproof already, which is a big benefit, and it has direction controls. And then it has a forward and reverse button, which I would probably use for the forward one would be to trigger the GPS. It's got a center button too. That could, if you held this button down, you would probably go left, and then maybe, and when you released it, it would stay where it is, and push the center button and come back to the middle. So that's a pretty good candidate. Another candidate is just a straight joystick. This joystick's not waterproof, so I'd have to do some fiddling around. A lot of these things aren't. But this wouldn't be too bad. I could probably do a rubber dam, a membrane to push. This is the bottom of the thing taken apart. I could probably just push this shaft through a rubber dam and seal it and encapsulate this whole thing, along with the rest of the guts of the system. And this would be a pretty good input device. Left, right, forward, reverse. And it's got a downward click, so it's a 5-direction. This one's really interesting. This is a thumb joystick. Might be a little easier to waterproof. I might be able to mount it directly onto the shaft and just either bury it in epoxy or again do a rubber dam over the top of it. But it's a nice input device. This is a tinier version of the same thing. It's a little thumb operated. This little micro guy. This is basically a joystick for a cell phone, but it's a functional 5-direction switch. 4 directions plus click, down click. So all this is going to be talking to an Arduino chip. There'll be a chip for the receiver and a chip for the, I shouldn't say chip, a board. This is the chip. There's a microprocessor on here, and then all the supporting electronics to make it work. So it's nice and small. I can prototype it on the larger scale Arduinos, and then assemble this along with receiver or transmitter. I was going to use, these are little micro transmitters, and this is a receiver that pairs with it, a little tiny receiver that pairs with it, and they have the benefit of being cheap, but they also have, they are subject to a lot of noise, and transmitting and receiving is not a simple thing, and trying to fix noise problems in software is not all that easy. So this is probably what I'm going to use. A lot more expensive, but still not terrible. This is called the XB. It's got a little bit of insulating foam on the bottom, but this has the full protocol. This is a transceiver, so it can send and receive, and it can send acknowledgement messages and so on back to the transmitter and say, "This is what I got." So there's a lot of capability to make certain things work properly. Which, the deeper I get into this, the more I realize how important it's going to be. This is a GPS mag. This is probably going to go in the servo box along with the receiver. It's kind of big and a little bit heavy. I've actually got an Arduino board that has a built-in gyro compass, and this might be a better option. I'm playing with all of it, with everything, you know. Basically, I'm screwing off, but it, you know, I'm pretty far along in the project. I think I'll have a working prototype in a few more weeks. So this is the handle that's going to go in. I've hollowed it all out so it can take some lithium polymer batteries down the shaft. All the electronics will fit in here, and they will indeed fit. You know, it's not even a tight fit. These electronics are nice and small, and then of course we'll need to do some good waterproofing. So that's more or less it. The this is the oscilloscope I bought. This is kind of a cool thing. This you know, when I was a kid, I had a Tektronix oscilloscope. I had a 518D, and then I had a 545D, and you know, those were if you bought a 545D in 1965 or 66, it probably would have cost you $2,000 or $3,000, which was probably about the same as a Mustang would have cost you. And this has all the capabilities and more, plus storage, of my old Tektronix scopes, none of which had storage, to store waveforms, and interfaces to a computer. My old Tektronix scope was about the size of that cabinet, and this guy, I can stick it in my pocket, and it was a few $100. So electronics has come a long way. It's really fun playing with this stuff again.